Okay, you guys, welcome to the Changemaker Forum. So great to see everybody here. I think people are slowly beginning to join in, so we'll just let them join in, but we will get started. Do please continue introducing yourselves in the chat box, okay? All right, everyone. My name is Deanne Anderson. I will be your main co-host for the next 2 days. I will be your MC, and I will be taking you through the forum. So before we get started, I want you guys to just take a moment and just breathe. Just take a couple of deep breaths here and just go through and see who exactly is in the room with you. You can look in gallery view to see who's in the room with you, okay? I just want you to take a couple of moments here. We're talking about a fast changing world. So I want us to just take a pause and just breathe before we go into this forum together. Be thankful that we are here together, about 300 of us together here in this virtual room, to go on a journey for the next 2 days, a journey to help us understand the power of the change-making skills, also known as the 21st century skills. Okay, guys, let's just take one last deep breath together here. And give me a reaction on your Zoom reactions button on how you're feeling about being part of this forum today. Give me a heart, give me an excited face, just give me a reaction. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, you guys, just a reminder, please turn on your video so we can see all your lovely faces. We want to see everybody in this room today, okay? All right, everyone, good afternoon and officially welcome to the Changemaker Forum. We're so excited to have you here with us for the next 2 days. We're excited to have you join us on this journey of change making, where we will be able to see, experience, and act. When we see, we will gain an understanding of the 4 change-making skills through a series of crash courses where you'll be able to download the knowledge and gain an understanding of the skills. You'll also be able to join real-life story panels where you will be able to meet role models in the change-making space. People who are already showcasing these change-making skills in real-life applications and are displaying them to create social impact. In your experience sessions, you will be joined tomorrow in a series of workshops that will provide you with exercises that will emulate the use of the change-making skills. And it will allow for you to begin to experience these change-making skills yourselves. And lastly, we will be showcasing you how to take action with these change-making skills. We will share with you a toolkit and a framework that will allow for you to better understand how you can begin to plan for your change-making journey with the skills that you have gained over these 2 days. Okay, you guys, before we get started, I have a quick game for us. We have virtual bingo here, okay? I'm gonna ask everybody to put yourselves into gallery view so I can see all your beautiful faces and we can see who is who in the room, okay? All right, you guys. Now, rules of virtual bingo. When I say you have done something or I state that you are this thing or this person, I want you guys to either give me a reaction with the reaction button, or I want you to cross your hands like this, okay? All right, for example, I will do one, okay? I am Deanne. Sorry, if you are Deanne, please use the reaction button or cross your arms like this. So I'm Deanne, so I think I'm the only person doing this. Glenda, are you taking my name?
Yes.
Okay, you guys, the first one. I understand how to play virtual bingo. Everybody, come on. Yes, yes. Okay, great. We can get started then. Okay, I am a teacher and or an educator interested in how I can showcase the change-making skills in my classroom. Do we have any teachers here? Yes, we have quite a few teachers. So good to have you here, you guys. Great. Next, I am a parent interested in understanding how I can bring the change-making skills to my home and my community. Any parents here? Great. Great to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Now, I am a young person in school interested in change-making and the change-making skills. Do I have a few young people here? Wow, so many young people. Welcome, you guys. So good to see you. All right. I am an adult interested in change making and gaining an understanding of how I can bring the change making skills to my workplace. I'm going to do this. Yes, great. All right. Lastly, I am a change maker excited to be part of this journey and creating social impact. I should see everybody do this. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have about 180 of you in this room. So great to see you all. And thank you for signing up. But first, I would like to call out to some of our early movers who first signed up for the Changemaking Forum and got us started with their excitement and their initial signups. There are three groups of people that I'm going to embarrass here quickly. I want to say thank you to the ASEAN Foundation for being the first people to sign up for the Changemaker Forum. So thank you so much. And the second person is Shreya Daila from Circular Cities Asia. I'm so sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, but thank you for being one of the first people to sign up. And lastly, I would like to embarrass two young people and shout out to them, not embarrass them, shout out to them for being the first two young people to sign up for the forum. I would like to shout out to Kaylee and Jordi from the German European School for being one of the first people to sign up, for the first young people to sign up. So thank you so much, you guys. Okay, now time for the rules and engagement of the forum, okay? These are just some rules, some suggestions that will help you stay engaged throughout the forum. I will go through them with you, and please do start taking part in some of these rules, okay? So the first one is, please have your video on throughout the forum. We want to stay engaged with you guys. We want to see your faces. We want to make sure that we can continuously talk to you guys and see how your energy levels are. Another thing that I will suggest is have your hands up. If you have your hands up here, people can see that you are 100% listening to them, okay? So that is another thing. The second one is have your virtual backgrounds. So I do not have a virtual background right now, but I will put one on just for you guys. So you can pick your virtual background by pressing on the video sign, choose virtual background, and you can upload your choice of virtual backgrounds there like this, okay? I know for some of us, it looks a bit funny, but just bear with it. We want to be able to see that we're all kind of in a similar room together. All right, you guys, another way to engage is that you can share your intentions in the Mentimeter that is being pasted onto your chat box right now. You can share what are your intentions for the Changemaker Forum in this Mentimeter. Now, another way to stay engaged is that during the sessions, we welcome you guys to use exaggerated hand movements, exaggerated hand actions, smile, whatever you want, and also to use the reactions button throughout. Okay, and then another way to stay engaged is by continuously commenting, continuously asking questions within our chat boxes throughout the sessions. We will try to get to every question that you guys asked, or we will come back to it after the forum as well. Now, another way to stay engaged is by asking questions in the Mentimeter that's being posted now on any questions that you may have about the change-making skills. We will be collecting these questions throughout the forum, and we will be answering it in our final keynote, in our closing keynote. Rochelle has just pasted this into the chat box. Another way to stay engaged is obviously by sharing your experiences about the Changemaker Forum on your social media, and please ensure to tag Ashoka and the Lian Center of Social Innovation. And please do take screenshots and photos throughout the forum and share them with us. You can share them to me and Tasneem. We'll send an email, or maybe we'll send a Google Drive where you can upload them as well. Now, lastly, I ask you guys to please be patient with us and the technology. We have speakers coming from all around Southeast Asia, so please do be mindful of their bandwidth issues and just be patient with us throughout the forum. Without further ado, you guys, I will now like to introduce Rajesh Verghese, who is the Ashoka Singapore and Malaysia Country Director, to take you through a little bit more about the Changemaker Forum. But before I pass it over to him, I want to make sure that you guys know one of your rules of engagement. Please give me another emotions button before I pass it over to Rajesh. Come on, you guys, give me an emotions. Thank you, Tazim. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Juhu. Yes, okay, Rajesh, over to you.
Thank you, Deanne. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Changemaker Forum. One of the reasons why we chose this format to have a Zoom setting like this where we can see each other, not a webinar format, is so that we can feel that we are together. And I know we are coming together at a difficult time in our history. So I hope the Changemaker Forum brings some joy, some cheer, some hope as we get into more change making. So with me today is Christy Davis. Christy, are you there? Can I hear your voice?
I'm here. I'm right here.
Christy Davis, she's right there. She's the Executive Director at the Lien Center for Social Innovation. We are co-hosting this year's forum and we're doing it together. And she's the partner in crime. So, Christy.
Which is a great, that's a great kind of partner to be, I have to say.
Yeah. All right.
Always up to no good, definitely. So lots of good or no good, I don't know.
All right. So Christy, why are we doing this? What does this all mean?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we've got a little bit of an illustration behind us, don't we, Rajesh? Yeah. So hello, everyone out there, and good afternoon, wherever this afternoon, Friday afternoon finds you. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday afternoon, and again tomorrow. So I think one of the things that we are so struck by is how fast change is taking place. And this is a great slide because the world is changing at this exponential rate. But we also see huge complexity, and that the way we are also responding to change is very different. So traditional power dynamics are shifting to more decentralized models, which we'll chat a little bit more about a little bit later. And power we see is actually being shared more broadly. Power is in the hands of more people, which is just kind of an amazing thing. So as we start to look at what's happening with change and how does power allow us to actually manage this change, let's look on this chart to see what the change looks like. So if you look at, you find an automobile on there. Do you find car? There's next to the telephone, right? So the automobile, does anyone know out there what year exactly the automobile was invented in? If you know, just stick it in the chat box. Does anybody know what year the automobile was invented? I don't know if it's filling up, but it's 1886. So you think in 1886, how long ago that was? More than 100 years. But since that time, you see the trajectory of change. The man on the moon. Look at the man on the moon. We put a man on the moon in 1969. Now, there are some of us, I think, in this forum who remember, or at least were born in 1969. Others of you are thinking that's like the dark ages, but that was the year that actually Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Pretty cool. And so then, of course, change just takes off exponentially. So as I mentioned, we're seeing the response to this, though, with this change is also the change in power dynamics, right? So once upon a time, there was kind of this very traditional, model of power where it was held, next slide, please. It was held by a few people, generally speaking, and it looked quite traditional. So some of these faces, I think you'll recognize. Hopefully all of these faces you'll recognize. Nelson Mandela, of course, Corazon Aquino, the Philippines, Martin Luther King, and Aung San Suu Kyi. Actually, we say technology is changing, but look at these leaders. They're amazing people all. But what's happened now? Let's see how power is starting to decentralize. And as I mentioned, moving into the hands of more people. So if we look at the next slide, we see power moving across into individuals like these that are going to come up here momentarily, like this. And hopefully you recognize a lot of these faces, some of which are in our very part of the world. So increasingly, power is in the hands of more people and younger people, which means that more of us are able to participate in the matters of things that matter to us and our lives. So governance, environment, economics, community, all of these things impact our lives. And increasingly, we want to have a stronger voice in those things. So this is happening across generations, my generation, but also, of course, your generation out there as well. And there's a name for this. It's called New Power. And if you Google New Power, there's a book on it. There's some great resources out there, but it's to compare to old power. So old power works like a currency, okay? It's held by a few. It's closed. It's generally inaccessible. And it's leader driven. So you could argue that it's kind of hoarded. You know, it's like currency or money. We get it and we hold it tightly and we don't necessarily share it. But new power operates very differently. It's like a current. It's made by many. It's open, it's participatory, it's peer driven. So if you think of like water or electricity, it's most forceful when it surges forward. So the goal with new power is not to hoard it or hold it tight, but to share it and to channel it so that many, many people participate and are positively impacted by it. So if we think about what this shift in power looks like, Rajesh, take us forward. What does the shifts in power actually look like in this day and age?
Thank you, Christy. That was really nice to talk about new power and old power. I think this is a good time for me to introduce a fictional character. I'm going to call that character Zoe. And Zoe is 15 years old. So when we designed this forum, we thought about Zoe and asked ourselves, what does the world look like when Zoe is 35? That is 20 years from now, right? So that is how we designed this forum. And we said, who are the people around Zoe? The parents, the teachers, civil society, the government, so many people around Zoe. So what will that look like, right? So before we try to understand that, let's just look at this picture, right? Christy just spoke about the shift in power dynamics, right? The classroom has also changed, and we are seeing it changing over the last 5-10 years, from traditional classrooms to classrooms that are more open. So that is the big shift. So what is the language that we can put around this, right? So what is the shift that we are seeing in our world today? So one is the shift is moving from an emphasis on repetition and efficiency to an emphasis on creating change, which is focused on creativity and innovation, right? So that is one of the biggest shifts that we see. Second is we are seeing a shift from vertical hierarchies and systems with rigid team structures to landscapes that are more fluid, more collaborative, more open, and people are operating in these fluid team of teams, right? So that's the second shift. The third shift, as Christy said, we're seeing a big shift from a single definition of the word leader to leadership being not just held by a person, it can be held by an organization, it can be held by a team, and it is shared largely, right? And the third one is from authoritative voices controlling channels of communication, we are moving to storytelling and experiences helping people to communicate. So this fictional character that I introduced called Zoe, in the next 20 years, she is going to live in this new game. And this new game is all about creativity, change, innovation. It's all about fluidity and collaboration. It's all about shared leadership and storytelling, right? That is the new game that Zoe is going to play, while she has other challenges around her, right? So that is the new game that we are talking about. But Christy, when I just think about it, right, this Zoe must be quite overwhelmed. This is a lot of things to do, a lot of pressure. So how do we make it more human?
Oh my gosh. Well, actually, it's just, not to, I think sometimes it's actually not to overthink it. And not to overcome the world is sufficiently complex. So sometimes let's just think in terms of change making. Now, I know change making has become kind of a buzzword. It's kind of jargony, right? But actually, if you unpack it, what is a change maker, a maker of change? It's anybody, any of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how old you are. I mean, I guess once you have the ability to walk and reason and feed yourself, but basically all of us have the ability to do something that can make the world a better place. And trust me, I hear myself, I think, oh my gosh, that sounds kind of like airy fairy. But frankly, in this day and age, we have no choice but to actually do something that's going to make things better, right? Around us. So whether it's problem solving on a large scale, or perhaps it's opening a door for someone else to walk through so that they can move forward to actually make a change as well. So as I think about this, we were just, Rajesh, you just mentioned 20 years of Zoe, we're talking Zoe in 20 years time, right? So I guess all of you out there, can you take a moment, just shut your eyes for a moment and picture yourself 20 years from now. Picture yourself 20 years from now. Who do you see? You know how old you'll be. You may or may not know where you physically might be, but what do you see? And what's the environment that you see around you? You know, and what's the environment that you'd love to see around you? Does it look considerably different than the environment we see today? What is it that's grabbing your heart? And it's in that space, actually, that we today and tomorrow, we want to fill your pockets with some new skills that you can pull out and you can actually use them to make a difference in this world today. Yeah. So Rajesh, tell us more about the actual intention of this workshop with these new skills and what everyone's going to take home.
Thanks a lot, Christy. I think Zoe, I can totally vouch. Zoe is going to play a different game, have a different mindset, and I think at Ashoka and Leon Center we said, Changemaker can be anyone, right? So we created this experience to bring people from diverse backgrounds, from Singapore, from around Southeast Asia, to share stories and to work with you, to help you in your journey to become a change maker. And at this forum, the Changemaker Forum, we want to present this framework. And this is a human framework. As we live in a world that is complex, interconnected, polarized, and volatile, and the rate of change keeps going up, can every person in this room build a new set of skills? We call them the human skills that we can practice every single day. So we are able to respond to change and be a change maker. And we are presenting this framework with the emphasis on 4 skills. The first one is conscious empathy, right? Empathy in action. Can we all practice empathy? That is the first question. The second thing is new inclusive leadership. Can the leadership be shared? Can we involve everybody in this leadership? Collective teamwork. Can we integrate and work in open, fluid team of teams spread around the world? And the third one is, can our actions be positive? Can we create positive, creative change going forward? It's easier said than done, right? It's not as easy as learning digital skills. It's about us, and it's about the change that we direct and lead. So at this forum, we are presenting you this framework, right? And as you're with us for the next 2 days, we have crash courses, we have panel discussions, we have workshops, and at the end of the day, we have a toolkit that will help you understand this really well. So you build your competencies, that is one. But most importantly, build on this framework, take it with you, give it to more people, build on this so that this framework and this concept of being a change maker continuously grows. So with that, I'm presenting the forum's Mentimeter. It's going to be placed in the chat. I know what we shared right now, Christy and I know it's not easy. It's a bit, it may not come naturally. So I want you to share your worries, your questions, your concerns on the Mentimeter. Tomorrow, at the end of the day, closing keynote will be taken up by 2 accomplished social entrepreneurs, and they will take your questions and help answer it. That's why the Mentimeter is very important. So with that, Christy, shall we introduce our keynote speakers?
I think we shall. So it's just thrilling, you know, Rajesh talked about the power of storytelling, and what better way to get ideas for how each of us can take just even a single step forward than to hear from others on their change-making journey. So embodying a generation like no other, it is an absolute privilege and pleasure to introduce Glenda and Faye, kicking off our forum. Over to you, Glenda and Faye. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Christy.
Guys. I'm Faye.
And I'm Glenda. And we have a presentation prepared for you guys that Glenda will be sharing. So that is our presentation. And before we even start, before we even introduce ourselves, we actually wanted to do something fun with you guys. So here's the thing. I personally don't believe in icebreakers. I don't like them. I think they're awkward and I hate them. But after talking a lot with Glenda, she said, you know, we need to get to know everyone. And apparently people do like icebreakers. So we wanted to do something little with you guys. We wanted to know kind of where your headspace is at. So if you guys are willing, we want you guys to go into the chat and give us 2 problems that are on your mind today. The thing is, one has to be a really big problem, something that's maybe very serious, something that you're very passionate about, for example, sustainability or gender inequality. And then we want to hear your small problem. So for example, it could be a pet peeve, like today your mom forgot to close the door when she came into your room, or if for the parents, your kids forgot to help you set the table. So something small like that. We just want to see what is everyone thinking about and highlight maybe a little bit of similarities that we have. Glenda, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, how about you, Faye? What was your problem? I think you shared it with me just now. It's quite funny.
We were talking earlier and I told her my aunt got married yesterday and I don't have makeup remover. I don't really use makeup a lot on my own. And so I still have like eyeliner around my eyes. I don't know how to take it off. So if anyone has any tips on that, to take off makeup without makeup remover, that would be a nice thing to add in the chat as well.
If only we all had those Zoom like video filters that we could just click off. Okay, we have waking up late, distraction from phone, but also things like climate change, gender inequality, how to perfect my chicken recipe. That is really interesting. Unfortunately, I'm vegetarian. I can't try it, but I'm sure many people here in the audience will be willing to try it.
I will volunteer. And if you do find out your perfect chicken recipe, please send it over to me. I would love to test it out. Ooh, inequitable access to healthcare and education. I like that one. My aunt keeps offering me her awful cooking and I can't reject.
It shows that we do have some change to make today. So
you know what? If your aunt made it, I'm sure it's not that bad. Okay, I feel like sleepiness is a big thing here too. All right. So we're seeing a lot of similarities here actually, and even if the issue isn't the same, I think a keyword that I'm seeing here, and Glenda, add if you have, but inequality is a big thing here. Lack of access, communication issues is also something I've seen 2 or 3 times. So that's really interesting. And Glenda and I will be talking a little bit about that. But beforehand, we should probably introduce ourselves. So hello, everybody. My name is Faye Simanjuntak. I'm from Indonesia. And I put doesn't have a fun nickname like Glenda does because she's going to tell you guys her really cool nickname. But I don't have one, unfortunately. I'm the co-founder of an organization called Rumah Faye. In Indonesian, that means Faye's house, which is not a very creative name. I will, say that before anyone else says it. But I came up with it when I was 11 years old. So I think you guys should cut me some slack for bad naming skills. Rumah Faye is an organization that works to eradicate child trafficking, exploitation, and abuse with a specific focus on anti-sexual exploitation, anti-child trafficking for sexual purposes, and sex abuse. We do that through 3 main programs. In Indonesian, they start with the same letter, so we use alliteration. Unfortunately, in English, it doesn't work that way. But the 3 programs are prevention, rescue, and recovery. So that's a little bit about what I do. And I've been doing this since 2013, so almost 8 years this year. And these are some photos of the projects that we did back in 2016, 17, before, we really started getting a little bit bigger today.
Thanks, Faye. And honestly, before meeting her, I did not know she was this cool, and it seriously intimidated me a little bit. And Faye was also sharing that actually I didn't know what you were doing and I was also intimidated. So I'm inviting everyone to come into this space as you are, whether or not you've been doing this since you were 8 or 19 or haven't even started your journey. A little bit about me. My name is Glenda, and I'm from Singapore. So for those of you who are familiar with our MRT or our train system, there's this one mascot called Give Way Glenda. So my friends have endearingly coined the term for me as Greenway Glenda, because I'm the co-founder of Eco Youth Collective. We are a community of youth who are inspired, driven, and empowered to make positive change. And essentially what we realized last year during Singapore's lockdown or our circuit breaker is that there are so many youths who are interested in sustainability issues, but don't have the support of friends who will give them the confidence and also the skills to even start. They were a little bit confused, and I remember me feeling the same way when I was younger. When I first learned about that first environmental issue, that I started to really think, what can I do as a youth? So as we were preparing for this entire keynote speech, we wondered to ourselves, are we qualified to do this? But as we look back on our journey, we realized that maybe there is some merit to having a youth share our own perspectives and our journey. So handing it back to Faye to start our presentation.
Thank you, Glenda. So yeah, a lot of this presentation, as we were working on it together, we realized that it was a lot more reflective of the work that we've been doing for the past couple years than different presentations that we'd both done before. And something that I started with, we kind of wanted to take you all on our journey, kind of on how we started our organizations, how we started our movements. And the starting point for the both of us was really finding a vision. So slide. I think where we wanted to ask the question in the very beginning is, what is change making to you? See, I think it's kind of easy to see these different issues and think, I want to help this specific issue. And so you see the people and you think you're being, essentially it's kind of, you're being altruistic, you're being selfless by thinking of them and not of you, because you're just going to give all your time, all your effort there. But something that I've learned, at least over the past couple of years, is that when we want to help other people, when we serve other people, we have to look at ourselves first, right? We have to evaluate our own role in initiating the change based on the skills that we already have. So for example, why are these photos relevant, right? Rumah Faye works to eradicate child trafficking, exploitation, and abuse. Art doesn't exactly come to mind as the very first thing you would do when you were starting a program, especially in anti-trafficking work. But the thing is, a lot of what we want to do is grassroots change, right? We have to build relationship, we have to build communities. And so when we were going down to this area, something we realized is kids, at least our kids did, they loved art. They loved painting and drawing and talking while doing that. And a lot of my friends were very, very talented artists as well. So instead of them volunteering their time to teach, let's say, English, which maybe weren't their strong suit, they were much more effective in teaching art, and that was their role. So I think the key thing that we learned really in the very beginning is what change making is to you is what you can contribute to a certain community, right? How can you adjust the skills that you've learned, the skills that you've had in order to give back? See, the whole thing kind of boils down to the idea that passion without having some sort of intention or some sort of purpose won't be beneficial to you or the people that you're trying to help. So change making has to begin with a thorough understanding of what your community needs, and most importantly, why you're the person to fill this need. So then you kind of continue into putting together a team, which Glenda will talk way more about. But before we talk about having the team itself and how to collaborate properly, a big thing is realizing, where do you fit in the team, right? It's the mentality that I think when people start a team, your immediately thought is, okay, who are the people that I want? Who are the people closest to me? And really, the team, it's important to remember, isn't there simply to help you out, but to learn from you and for you to learn from them as well, because they come with incredible experiences, very unique to them. It's important to remember that even if you have the same background as someone else, for example, you're also, say for me, Indonesian, you're also a girl, you're also below 20, let's say, that doesn't mean that you have the same experiences as other people. So you have to evaluate your skills, evaluate other people's skills, and encourage kind of an open communication. Find people with the same vision and the same values as you do. And from there, where do you go, Glenda? Tell us.
Well, this is something that I really am passionate about because I could do nothing without my team. In fact, some of them are in this chat today. So if you're here and you're not shy, please say hi. And I would like to share a little bit about how exactly Eco Youth Collective started. We started at the start of our pandemic. So sometime in April last year, when in Singapore, things got a little bit bad. We managed to meet over Zoom. That was our first time meeting each other. And it felt a little bit like this. First of all, it was, oh my God, I finally found someone who is as crazy about the environment as I am. And we kind of have similar experiences. Singapore is small, we kind of know each other. And there's so many problems with so many solutions that I want to solve together with this team. But wait, what's actually needed? And what should we prioritize right now? There's a raging pandemic going on outside of our houses. We're privileged enough to have all these resources to be able to run Zoom meetings. So what should we focus on first? Apparently, we all have team photos sitting on steps. I'm not sure why, but this was what it felt like. It felt like everyone had a different vision, different strengths, and that was great. But how do we ground ourselves to something that was common, a common goal that we wanted to work towards? And the two questions that we ended up asking ourselves as a team are, who are we now that we've come in with our own strengths as individuals? Who are we as a team, the people who want to run Eco Youth Collective? And who are we serving? So on the first point of getting to know ourselves, whether it's through BuzzFeed quizzes or the Gallup Strengths Insights, I think it's always good to take some time to notice what I am personally good at. So for me, I am quite the opposite of Faye. I was the person who was organizing the meetings between the both of us and saying, Faye, we need to get this done and our deadlines are soon. And at first, I used to think of myself as, oh my God, she's the controlling freak. She's the one that needs to get everything done a certain way. But I realized that we do need someone like that in the team. So I embraced this side of me and used that as my role in the team. The second one, get to know my community. So for us, our main target audience is youths in JCs and polytechnics. That's somewhere around the ages of 17 to 20. So for this age group, I asked them the same question that Rajesh and Christy asked just now. In 25 years, where do you see yourself? What means the most to you? And we got our classmates and schoolmates to draw this on a huge blackboard. And we got amazing answers like, I want to be happy, I want to build a tree house, I want to get an A for general paper at A levels. Totally understandable. And when we finally understood what this means to them, we realized that we could bring this into the sustainability conversation. So in 25 years, when we are slightly older, I will be 45. Singapore is going to experience heat, temperatures up to 40 degrees Celsius. And if you can't imagine what that looks like, think fatigue, dizziness, feeling constantly like you're drained of energy because the temperatures are just so warm. And with this kind of climate, is this the place where I want to see my own friends trying to eat blueberry pies, spending time with their family in that kind of consideration? So in understanding them and understanding their needs, then we're better able to serve their purposes and see where we can work together. And this is a photo of my team having fun because ultimately, if we're always thinking about the dreary future and not enjoying the present, then I don't know what our team is there for. But it's not just fun and games. How do we actually get to do all the work? That's where Faye comes in.
I think when you see a lot of these really cool young change makers, especially the one that were on screen that was mentioned earlier, you see kind of them in the context of being speakers, in the context of kind of the social media side of things, which is definitely an important part, but kind of a minor part of all the work that you do. Advocacy, for example, even if it's legal advocacy, it's not only campaigning in front of a government institution, but it's also writing proposals, it's writing pitches, it's telling people why it's an issue. And so when I first started, and Glenda did as well, we kind of thought it was super straightforward, I think. It was in the sense that, okay, we'd make a movement, we'd make a team, and we would just go crazy. But really, change making isn't just going, at the very least, doing volunteer work, but on your own. But it's a lot of fundamentals, right? It's learning how to make budgets. It's learning how to make grants. It's learning how to apply for grants. And if you do get the grants, then you have to learn how to make narrative reports and financial reports. And you have to learn how to network. You have to create different type of pitches for your projects, not just for the organization as a whole. And those are all skills that are very much underrepresented, I would say, when you're wanting to be a change maker. A lot of times it's mostly how to kind of start, but once you get there, I think a lot of us face the barrier of, wait, I don't have the professional skills to do this. Something as basic as writing an email suddenly becomes really, really scary. And so I think an important thing for us to learn, and that we learned the hard way, Glenda, is that we really have to set long-term goals, not only in the sense that, okay, say by 3 years, we want to make sure our social media has this many followers, or that we see this type of change, but also how has our organization and how has our projects developed? So a big thing for my organization is that we wanted to create sustainable dialogues by building relationships. We believed in grassroots change, the understanding that long-term solutions can only be done by the people who stayed there. And that's why, sorry, next slide. I am of the really, really strong belief that the community at hand is kind of the decider, right, of whether or not your project will succeed, because they're the ones who can make sure that your impact will be long term. So it has to be work that you do for possibly years. You know, Rumafe can stay at one place for 4 to 7 years to ensure that there is long lasting change, right? That there's a change in mindset. And that can be something very, very tiring. And I think Glenda has a lot to say about that.
I do. So in fighting for a sustainable future, I strongly believe that it has to be a sustainable fight. And this is one of the quotes that my friend, Bring Your Own Bottle Singapore, or Kate, who might also be here, I think, came up with. And that requires a lot of empathy. So a quick question to everyone here, please type into the chat. How many of you know someone who has experienced burnout? So if the answer to that question is yes, please just type yes into the chat, and let's have a look at how many people have that experience. Okay. And the second question is, how many of you have personally experienced burnout? So in thinking about all these different social issues and in trying to manage your team, there is a lot to handle. And especially as a youth, I feel like I have 10,000 things that I want to set my mind on and work on right now in the present, but that's just simply not sustainable. So what are the things that we might need, especially since we have a team? Let's recognize the value of this group of people who have come together and put their minds to something through 2 ways. The first one is collective care, which I strongly believe in. Now, as you might have seen from my previous example, when I was working with Faye, I was the one who was like, oh my gosh, are you okay, Faye? Like, are you okay with the slides? And I took all the responsibility of my entire team's well-being on my shoulders in checking in with each of them individually. And that had good intentions, but I realized that I wasn't checking in on myself and taking in all that pain that everyone had on my own. So let's try and when we recognize that as a team, I tried to be honest. I said, okay, guys, actually, I know that you guys can handle yourselves. And maybe let's try and make this a shared responsibility instead. Have the team be in charge of checking in with each other in ensuring that everyone has a bit of responsibility. Otherwise, this is going to lead to burnout. And any new people joining the team might feel like, whoa, okay, this one person's taking care of well-being. I'll never have to learn how to check in on someone. So there are many different ways why collective care could work for a team. And the second one is accountability. As I mentioned just now, I'm not just someone who is in my team. I'm also a sister. I am someone's friend. I'm someone who has 10,000 other things to work on in my life. So if I am not able to contribute to the team at that moment, then let's have a system of accountability where I'm able to explain myself and be understood and not feel like I'm being called out for not doing my work, but to have my teammates call me back in and say, hey, I know this has been hard. Let's rework the timeline. Let's look at what's reasonable. Now, through sharing all our stories and again, emphasizing the fact that most of the people you see are speakers who are currently comfortable with speaking to a large crowd, but there are also 10,000 challenges that come with the change-making process. So there's making mistakes, or my friends jokingly shaming me for taking a straw. Oh no, that turtle's going to die. Or being judged by my peers for being too passionate, too ambitious, or not acting like my age because I want to do all these things, or caring too much. But I need to be okay with that and realize that I'm just being me. There's also being shot down. That's my friend holding a toy gun. Being shot down by authorities, by teachers, by adults who don't believe in you. And that can really, really buck someone down. So with all these different processes that I needed to make change, then what makes it so worth it? So this was the photo that I introduced myself in, and it's a little bit of a strange photo. I could have simply used a nice headshot of myself, but I chose this photo because it shows me carrying a little child and trying to get her to enjoy the nature and beauty of the outdoors. But what's not in this photo is actually who's behind me. So this is on a kayaking trip with my beloved mentors from secondary school. And you can see that this child is actually one of their own children, and they entrusted me with her to just go and have fun with her, to try and show her different parts of the mangroves and share something that I was passionate about. So it really is a call to all the educators, to the parents out there, to give us the space as youths, to give us space to go and try, to trust us in being able to learn and play with all our different mistakes. Because if we don't have this space to fall, it's really stressful. And for all the youths out there who are thinking about this 10,000 problems going on right now, maybe that is in the future. And if we look and ask ourselves honestly right now, we can do something about it, and we can be the part to shape our own future. So with that, we would end our part of the segment because honestly, I think this is purely just the appetizer for the following 1.5 days of really exciting workshops and panel discussions. And as you take in all this input, have to think about what exactly is the change that you want to start making, because it doesn't have to start with a scary budget template. It just has to start with you having the intention and taking the first step to reach out. And if along the way you have any questions at all, don't forget that you can put it into our Mentimeter, which the link will be sent into the chat later, and ask questions that will be eventually answered by our closing keynote speakers. So thank you once again to everyone here. And if there are any questions for either me or Faye, please feel free to leave them in the chat.
Okay, you guys, thank you so much, Faye and Glenda, for kind of really kicking off the Changemaker Forum and giving us an overview of how we can all practice change making and how we can all take our initial first step. So thank you so much. And you guys, really excited to kind of go through the next 1.5 days just to really talk about change making and the 4 skills. Now, before we get started, I'm just going to show you guys the intentions that you set for yourselves as we came onto the stage. Tasneem, can you please share the intentions Mentimeter? Wow, you guys, so many great words here, but the ones that are really popping up are learn. So you guys really want to learn, you want to grow, you want to connect with other change makers, inspire, collaborate, leadership, connection, improve. Some of the smaller ones I'm just trying to read here. Network, party. Yes, we're partying on a virtual screen, you guys. Educate, and I see some of you are still adding some words. Fun, it's going to be fun, it's going to be engaging, I can promise that. And to listen as well and to practice. Thank you so much for adding to this Mentimeter, you guys. Now, I'm just going to show you guys quickly how to go through this forum. How do you get from one stage to the other stage, okay? So in the emails that we shared with you guys, you were all shared a link to a website that is password protected. Rochelle, can I just ask you to please post the link of the website here and the password as well? Once you guys have pressed on this web page and put in the password, it will come up with a web page that looks like this, with a cover photo with some of our Avengers, you can say, of social impact on the screen, on the banner, okay? This is your Changemaker Forum platform guide. This is your guide for the next few days, okay? So you can go through this guide and see the different stages that you have. So at the moment, we are on the main stage. The main stage is open today and tomorrow. The main stage is where we do our reflections. It's where we do our keynotes. It's where we come together to connect and network with one another. Okay, this main stage is also a space that will be open throughout the different sessions. If you are struggling with anything to do with your technology or you can't figure out where to go next, come back into this main stage and we will redirect you guys. Now, the second stage that we have, which will be open today, are your skills stages. These stages will be both for the crash courses and the real life stories. And tomorrow we will open the workshop sessions. You should all have pre-registered for the workshop sessions. If you have not, please do pre-register, okay? Now, how do you get to the stages? Okay, you guys, we have created a full agenda for you here at the bottom. As you can see here, this is day one. We are at the moment in Welcome to the Forum. We've just heard from Glenda and from Faye about change making in their generation, how to start change making. I am now going through navigating the forum with you guys. And after this session, you will be able to go into your crash courses. The crash courses are done over 4 stages: your empathy stage, your teamwork stage, your new leadership, and your practicing change making. You can choose to stay in one stage throughout the next 45 minutes for that session, or you can go between the different stages to hear what's happening. And how you do this is just by joining the links that are available here, okay? Now, after this, we have a quick break. 15 minutes, you get a quick break in between the crash courses and the real life stories, okay? During this break, do whatever you need to do, get some water, stretch your legs out, whatever works for you guys. And afterwards, we ask you again to join the skills stages that you wish to join. Again, you can join them through these different links that are provided here. Okay, and then once the real life stories end, we invite you guys to come back to reflect with us about day one, to see how you're feeling after the first few sessions that we've had, okay? For day 2, I will show you how to navigate the forum again in day 2. The only thing I ask you guys to do by tomorrow or by this evening, if possible, is to register for your experience workshops. You can register for 2 workshops. One in the morning and one in the afternoon. You register with these by going down here, pressing down the morning sessions, and the registration links are right beside you. And you could do that for the afternoon sessions as well. As you can see, some of the sessions are full, so please get registering, you guys, okay? Any links that you need are in these agenda for the next 2 days. Is everybody okay with this? Does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, put it in the chat box. Okay, we're not going to move to the crash courses just yet. We will move to the crash courses in about 2 minutes or so. I first want to announce to you guys that we are doing a social media competition. We all love social media, right? So for our social media competition, we ask you guys to please first follow the social media pages of Ashoka Singapore and Malaysia and the Lian Center of Social Innovation, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You guys can do it on any of these platforms, okay? Rochelle has just posted in the chat box where you can find more information about the social media competition. Now, second, the next thing you have to do is post the picture or video or story on the social media to answer the question, what will I do with the Changemaker skills that I have gained during the Changemaker Forum? Please, please do this, you guys. Make sure you tag Ashoka and the Lian Center of Social Innovation in all your posts and use the hashtags everyone a Changemaker, hashtag Changemaker Forum, whatever you guys want, okay? Just a reminder that you guys can have a look more about the competition in the link that I just shared with you on the chat box. All of your submissions need to be done by the 7th of June at 11:59 p.m., okay? All right, you guys, it's time for us to go into the crash courses. You have about 3 minutes or so to get into those crash courses. So if you need to go to the bathroom, please do so. Otherwise, please join the crash courses. We have posted the link in the chat box here to the different crash courses, or you can join the crash courses via the links on the website, okay? Is everybody okay? If any of you are having problems with any of your technology or anything, stay in the main room. I will advise you on where to go. Otherwise, enjoy the crash courses, you guys.